people that are intimately involved in all the decisions regarding the new stadium project for 2023. It is visionary times 1,000 for all of us that have been around baseball all of our lives and have seen the old stadiums and have seen new stadiums that have been constructed. There is nothing anywhere that remotely represents what you're about to see. And fortunately, keep our fingers crossed, this thing is going to be opening up in 2023. By the way, no pressure because it says World Series 2023 back there. So
third in a row.
Yeah,
third in a row.
That wouldn't be awesome. Let's start with the introductions. Hardest working man in baseball. Everybody's finishing in second place. A's team president Dave Kaval. Richard Kennedy is here as well from the Archie. Augustine.
From Big.
Augustine as well from
Spain.
And you've got other members that are here from your group, and I'd like for you to recognize them also that are out in the crowd that have been a part of this incredible project. And as you do that, I also, if you could, just talk a little bit about what your company has done, some of the things that have made your company unique, and Dave, why this was a company that was the right fit for Oakland A's baseball moving forward.
Well, it's actually interesting. So it's actually two companies. So Richard is at Field Operations, and then Augustine is at Big. And we've kind of paired them together to really execute this amazing vision for a new privately financed stadium here at the waterfront. And so this is really a dream team of architects. They're incredible in terms of what they've accomplished to date. And I think they're bringing a lot of new ideas to our ballpark effort that have not been seen before, like Vincent said. So maybe you want to give a little update just on your backgrounds, and then we can go from there. Maybe Augustine, yeah?
So my name is Agustin Perez Torres. I work for Big. We are the designers for the ballpark and a lot of the developments that you've seen around. I'm from Spain, and I moved to the US 8 years ago. I'm based in New York, but obviously since we started working with the A's, I come here almost like once a month.
And we did an amazing ballpark tour. Everybody knows I like ballpark tours. I wrote a book about it. But Augustine and I went to like 5 ballparks in 4 days, I think it was. And we were all over the place. We were at Wrigley, and we were at Fenway, and Nationals Park, and we were out late at night afterwards, and just making sure all the things were settling into our mind by drinking beers and stuff. And it was just a great experience, and it was just really fun to spend that time together with our design team, seeing what the best was out there, like how to recreate that experience. And it's not just where you put the walls and where you put the seats, but it's the feeling of going to Fenway or Wrigley or these great old venues that makes a difference. And that was something we wanted to make sure we channeled together in that trip.
Great, well, make me jealous.
We'll do another trip.
I wasn't on that tour, but I'm Richard Kennedy. I'm a landscape architect and urban designer. Landscape architect and urban designer. We're involved in some pretty cool projects. You might know of the High Line project in New York. It's a park on an elevated train line through the west side of Manhattan. Really fantastic project that has really, I think, transformed how people see cities and how landscape and parks and green spaces can have benefit. Pretty cool projects like that. Another is the Dula Drive Park and next to the Golden Gate Bridge that will connect the Presidio to Chrissy Field on top of the Dula Drive Highway. Those are pretty cool, but this, I would have to say, without question, is the most significant and important and cool project we're involved with. It's extraordinary. I live in Oakland. I can't think of a more significant transformational project for our city. And it is a project that involves a lot of us. The A's organization, landscape architects with Augustine, Augustine's team, Philip and Ashton. My team is great. This is Veronica, also from Field Operations. We have engineers, BKF, and Magnuson Klemensic Associates, so it's a really elaborate team. But we're all really excited about a lot of the unique aspects of the ballpark that we're happy to describe and get into detail with you.
So, America's favorite in-game host car is here. She has the microphone. This is a unique opportunity. You get a chance to go one-on-one, ask a question about this project right here and right now. So if you got some questions, get your hands up, and Car will start making her way around the room, and we'll get the questions going. And I would imagine, knowing Dave, the way he handles everything, anything is fair game.
Nothing is off limits. Happy to discuss anything with the ballpark. obviously we announced the gondola, and we have these amazing, videos of kind of the experience of approaching the stadium from the gondola, which I think is incredible. So happy to answer anything you guys
So tell us your name and go ahead and ask your question.
Yeah, this is Josh, longtime fan from Livermore, and he sits in the bleachers, right field. So your question, Josh.
Yeah, so my question is, will we see the same, first come, first serve bleacher seating in the new stadium? And will it still be located in the general same area that we have in the Coliseum?
Well, the bleacher experience is, I think, one of the best things we have at the Coliseum. It was actually, I think, better in the original days before they added Mount Davis. And so we want to do everything we can to replicate that type of experience. When we went to Wrigley, it was actually more expensive to buy a ticket in the bleacher in GA than in the regular stadium. So you get an idea, that's where people want to be. It's just like a party happening every game. And so we've designed the ballpark with the bleacher seats in a way where people can have the first come, first serve. We thought about having maybe a little more of a throwback feel to that area, actually having bleachers as opposed to physical seats, because people can then stand on them and have kind of a more, almost like supporters culture in soccer a little bit. So those are things that we're excited about, and we'd love to sit down with all the folks who are currently in the bleachers and work together to come up with the plan for that section. And as we move into schematic design this year, it'd be a great opportunity to do that and get your feedback. So if you send me a note or president@athletics.com, we can set that up.
Drums and flags included, by the way.
Absolutely, all the big stuff. Yeah. So I don't know if you guys have any additional.
Well, it's now appropriate to talk about the kind of ultimate GA experience, the park on the roof.
Yes, why don't you talk about that? Yes.
To add, one of the more exceptional and unique aspects of this ballpark is there is a general mission park on top of the ballpark, and you can see it in some of the renderings. But it's going to be one of a kind. There is no other ballpark that can boast that they have you can take an elevator or walk up the concourses to a living roof on top of the ballpark. So you might have a seat during the game or be in the bleachers, but in between innings you can go out and be on top of the ballpark, looking out over the estuary and the bay, and have access to lawns and other amenities, picnicking and play areas. Really fantastic and unique experience that everyone with a ticket will have access to on game day. And then on non-game days, it's a public access park for everyone to enjoy the panoramas of Oakland, the hills, the bay, and the skyline and sunsets.
And maybe you can look across the bay and say our place is better than your place. So.
This is Nicholas, Oakland native.
Hi, I just want to congratulate you on this design. I think it's really great. It's a bold design, and Anthony Gowdy was going to design a baseball park. It would be this. A lot has been made about the Hobbit holes. Now, we know about the form of them, which I love them, by the way. I think they're great. We know about the form of them, but what's the function of them? I mean, are they overhangs that we walk through, or?
Is it one?
Yeah.
Actually, those are the sort of the gates that allow you to go from the concourse in the general admission spaces. You can then go from there into the park.
Okay.
Then you have these little terraces that are flat where you can see the game, and then you can also go from there all the way up the stairs and go all the way to the roof. So when you see all the little holes that you see, they're all meeting each of the concourses, so everyone will have access. Even the suite level, the main concourse, the second concourse, everyone will have access to the roof through these portals. We're still working on the design. We don't know how they're gonna end up looking, but for sure it's gonna be a really big feature because everybody will go through those elements.
Great. This is Alden, and guys, he's got one of the coolest addresses. He lives in Jack London Square.
Right away. Our neighbor.
Yeah.
It's our neighborhood.
Yeah, I'm really excited for you guys to be here. I've been telling the last 10 years that the Oakland A's are coming, so thank you for being here. You're here. This is a two-part question, really. One of the questions was about the housing, or are they going to be apartments or condos around the ballpark? That's the first question. And the second question is for the gondolas. So what was the thought process behind that being on Broadway Street? The only reason I'm asking that.
Well, it's on Washington, actually.
Or on.
Yeah. So
Washington.
it's not, it might look a little like Broadway because it's more done up, but it's actually on Washington.
Oh, that's on Washington?
Yeah.
That's going to be down the block from BART. Oh, okay, I get it. Because there's free shuttle buses that already
The
run
free
along
B,
Broadway.
yeah.
Right?
There's the free B, but the key, and I'll take your second question first, is it just moves a lot more people.
Okay.
So the shuttle buses can maybe move 1,000 people an hour. This moves 6,000 people each direction an hour.
What about Lake Merritt and West Oakland, they're not going to have gondolas. Just that one gondola.
Just this one to start. Now, over time, theoretically, you could add additional legs to it. We've actually studied that. And we've actually even studied adding one to Alameda, because it's hard to get on and off the island. Maybe by design, I'm not sure. But like, nonetheless, like that could be something we look at as well. And then your first question is a great one. And so we're looking at both condominiums and just, apartments. So both are going to be options and part of the plan. And we're working with big and field operations to plan that in a way that creates really a vibrant neighborhood that's connected to the ballpark, kind of like Wrigleyville or something like that.
I gotta start saving now.
Yeah, with the deposit tax. So it should be a really exciting part of the experience is that neighborhood around it.
Yeah, basically also the idea of having this development is to actually have people like you, right? Like people feel that they belong to the place and they also like connected to the A's.
Thank you.
Jacob from Lodi.
Are we going to keep large foul territory in the new park?
Do you want to?
So the trade-off there is if you have a larger foul territory, you're not as close to the action in your seat. And so what we've tried to do is look at the stadiums that have the most intimate bowl design, and Augustine can comment more on this, but places like Fenway, Wrigley, the old stadiums like Shibe Park where the Philadelphia Athletics used to play, and really pull you up as close as possible to the action. So you're not, like these seats, especially even in the second deck, are going to be closer than a lot of first deck seats. And that's going to create an ambiance and a connection to what's happening on the field that I think will be unparalleled. So we're probably not going to have the same type of foul territory that we have now. Yeah. The reason we have that at the Coliseum is because it's a multi-purpose facility. So it accommodated football and baseball and days on the green and all these types of things. And so that was why that was done. So I don't know, Augustine, if you have any.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I was not really into baseball before this. So the first one that I came with the A's, and the experience was to see the Coliseum. It was like a great, fun game that I watched. But then after that, I went with Dave and his team, and we went to Fenway. And that's when you realize that you really want to have these seats so close to the game because it makes such a difference. Like you really even for somebody like me who is not an expert, you feel it like immediately when you're there. So we wanted to recreate that, but actually make it even better. So basically, all our the third and second tiers are gonna be so close. So that is like the goal of everything we've done is to make it like as compact and as close as possible to the game. Everything we've done is to the game is first, and everything comes after.
As we can tell, because the room is packed, this is a very popular thing to be a part of today, and I'm being told that we're going to wrap this up in about 5 or 6 minutes in here because I want to bring in another extra session for these folks to continue their discussion. So, Cara, let's go back out to you.
Yeah, this is Hazim from Richmond. Here is his adorable kids.
Thank you. Just 2 questions. One, obviously, kids, what are the plans for, to attract the younger crowd? Growing up, I love baseball and trying to, do the same thing for my kids. So, what ideas do you have for that? And second is the orientation of the stadium. Now, I understand we don't want to be like, San Francisco, but is there any wiggle room to orient it a little more towards downtown Oakland, where you can see more of downtown? There's a small glimpse of it, but is there any way to, orientate it a little more?
Well, so regarding the orientation, the idea about this, of course, is oriented east, which is the best for the game. And as I said before, everything is about the game first. But then the reason why the views are also very important is that's what we did with the roof, goes down and touches the ground. So when you're on second base in that area, you're gonna actually see downtown Oakland. If you're in the other side on third base, you're gonna actually see the water. So the idea is you can have so many experiences that you want to keep going back, and even in the roof you could see all these views. So I think that we believe that it's going to be a very dynamic experience once you go there. And regarding kids, something that you still cannot really see clearly in these images is something that Richard was saying before. We have this roof, right? The idea is that we're going to have seats right on the edge, and you can have something that has never been done before on baseball, which is basically have very small seats for 2 or 3 people next to each other, so you will have your little, almost like your suite, but it's open air, and that's what we always do, and it's very connected to the park. So the idea is to connect these areas for probably kids with their parents that can go. It's a very intimate. You always want to have the kids next to you, have the parent right behind you, and go back and forth. We're actually thinking about this not just as a big gesture, but it's all just full of little experiences for everybody to enjoy, and to maybe even change them over time. So I think he's going to have a great time in this ballpark, I believe.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, this is our last question for this session. This is Kenya from Oakland, Berkeley. Your question.
Oh, thanks for bringing us this great vision for a new stadium. Oakland. I grew up, born and raised here as an A's fan. It's great to see this A's finally move into the downtown area. My question for you is, with this great new investment here in Jacqueline Square in downtown, I'm excited to see the housing, but I also want to hear more about the activities that will happen when outside of the baseball season. So when after we win the World Series between October and March, what additional programming will there be in addition to the housing to make this an active destination for Oaklanders and for the Bay Area?
Well, I think one of the big things, and I turn it over to Richard, is the public access to the shoreline and the park itself, which will be open 365 days a year. I think will be an attraction kind of at all times. And maybe Richard, you want to talk a little bit about what we're doing on the waterfront side?
Yeah, absolutely. One of the main reasons to locate it here on the waterfront is to tie the ballpark to Jack London and to leverage the restaurants and cafes and outdoor experiences of being out in the water here. But not only to leverage those, but to actually extend them and expand them. So part of the development of the whole ballpark area is new housing, new commercial areas, new retail, new places for shops and restaurants, new cultural facilities, performance areas, and arts facilities, all tied together by new streets and a new waterfront park on the edge of the estuary. And what will be, I think, one of the most extraordinary aspects of that is a park that will be below the big white cranes that are out there. So it's extraordinary. It's a quintessential, idiosyncratic Oakland experience to be on the water next to the athletics ballpark, underneath the cranes that signify the port of Oakland. And that waterfront will be park space, green space, lawns, play spaces, cafe seating and dining out in the water. It'll be extraordinary, and it will only expand the kind of experiences you have in Jack London today.
One question, Dave.
Yeah.
In the now, in the immediacy, what's the next step as this project moves forward?
Well, 2019 is a very big year. We're in the process of finalizing our option with the Port of Oakland, and that's our land deal for what can be done on the site. At the same time, in parallel, we're working with the state process called the California Environmental Quality Act to get through the environmental clearances. That should culminate at the end of 2019. And so those things are happening in parallel, and there's a lot of public meetings. And there are times we're going to be in front of the city council. We've already been in front of the planning commission. At the planning commission, I don't know if you guys saw, we had Marshawn Lynch come out. He went beast mode, and we got the vote, which was great. But we're going to need to call on our entire fan base, and whether or not you live in Oakland or just are an East Bay resident or anywhere, to come out and support these efforts, because the politicians, the elected leaders, the government agencies, they want to see that people care about this. And we can't do that alone. We can put out a great vision, but we need people like yourself to be a part of it. And so if you go to oaklandballpark.com, it has the list of the latest events that we have, and it'd be great to see everybody there.
So thank you for your participation.
We're going to all exit.
Thank you guys for being here.